Hey everyone, if you've been around bowling long enough, you know the name Liz Johnson. You maybe even know most of her accolades. 25 PWBA titles, PWBA Hall of Fame. She's won on the PBA Tour. She's won in almost every place there is to win. So at this year's Junior Hall of Fame tournament weekend in Milwaukee, I wondered, how long does she keep doing this? How much more stuff is there for her to win? Well, she's going to try and figure out an answer to that question just as long as she can, and with a tour season coming up soon, she'll have plenty of opportunity. Here's our conversation from just before the celebrity event of that weekend. Thanks for the time.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, tell me about coming to this event. I mean, This is such a thrill to have you here. I know Shannon was excited to talk about it on the show, you coming, and you know the people are going to be excited.
Yeah, I mean, I used to live here too for a few years, but in the Chicago area, so I would come up to Wisconsin. I bowled the Hall of Fame tournament, I think probably when the earlier years, 2012, 2013, and they asked me to come do it, and couldn't say no. So it's a great event, great charities, and all that stuff. And Shannon's, does a fantastic job.
Yeah. What's it like in the heart of it? I know the format's a little different this year, but the concept is the same, right? A great cause, and you get to bowl with these kids who are excited as all get out to be here.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. The pro-ams and get to bowl with, keep moving pairs and bowl with all the different people and stuff like that. And people are so friendly here and so nice. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
This is going to be a big year coming up for Cedar Vale Lanes. You're very close with Brent Prentice, the owner, and this is going to be the first time that Minneapolis-St. Paul has had junior gold. He's got the events there. He's a host center. How big a deal is this for him to have those events?
Oh, that's going to be awesome. Brent is such a great guy. He's a great proprietor, a good friend of mine, and, no one deserves, I think, that tournament better than Brent, and I know he's done so many great things with this center and everything, so I'm sure he's so excited and looking forward to doing that.
Yeah, for sure. So you guys have a tour season coming up, and everybody, I'm sure, prepares for it a different way. I've seen you on social media post age is just a number, and I totally understand that because I'm different than I was when I started in this too. But does your preparation change? Has that evolved over time when it comes to the beginning of a tour season?
Honestly, it's. I just try to keep things consistent in my regimen. I probably do more off the lane stuff than on the lanes practice. I still do practice a lot and try to just be consistent with it. But I just make sure I do a lot of walking and a lot of in the gym stuff, and then just sometimes just bowling. Little tournaments here and there to keep you sharp. Go and practice anywhere from 4 to 6 games a day, every day. Just try to keep things consistent. Try to keep my legs, my body moving the way it hopefully it can go. And after that, I think it's a little bit of memory, hopefully muscle memory and stuff like that. And try to not get too crazy with overthinking, overanalyzing and stuff. So, I just try to do my consistent little regimens in the off season, and sometimes I do exercise while I'm bowling tournaments. My exercise during tournaments is just walking, basically, because you want to stay strong, but you don't want to be. You don't want to be tired. You don't want to be fatigued while you're bowling also, because it's a lot of games when you're bowling. So I just try to keep things consistent and just keep, my health and my diet and everything at a minimum or a positive, and do the best, whatever, try to be aware of what goes into my body, and hopefully it works out in overtime.
Yeah. A lot of us talk about trying or even struggling to keep our minds quiet while we're in pressure situations. How is that for you? Does it get easier over time, through the course of these tournaments as the game has evolved? What's that like for you?
I used to be very, I get on, make a TV show, make a finals, and I was very stoic and, didn't, throw shots and, when you're bowling tournaments, I guess you try not to get too up, too down. Try not to get too excited. Try not to get too down on yourself. You try to be really even. And as I've gotten older, and maybe I don't make as many finals as I used to, or as many shows. You really don't take anything for granted. You don't take that last TV show, or that last finals, or that last cut for granted. So just try to savor every little moment and every tournament that you can bowl in, and be grateful for it. And I'm very thankful. This is probably my 30th year being able to, as a professional, doing what I love, and it doesn't get easier either. In fact, I bowl out of near in the Orlando area, and it just happened to be a bunch of ball demos going on in the center I was at, and I'm practicing, and Jason Couch comes up to me and he goes, "How do you still feel, like you really want to do it? You still just have the drive for it?" Because it's hard. It really is hard when you get into a center and knowing they have something coming up, and we're not getting any younger, so it's hard. You just try to stay motivated is sometimes the hardest thing. Whether it's you're somewhere, whether the weather's so cold and you don't want to bring your stuff in, or it's too nice of a day outside and it's really warm, and I'm like, I can be doing something else, but if you love what you do and this is something you're passionate about, you'll find a way. And I guess it's some days you don't want to do it. Some days just I'll just go in and maybe practice a few games and at least get my legs going and get the feel going, because if I've done that too, where I've taken even a week and a half off or 2 weeks, and it just nothing feels right. And when you stop that, because you get your hand will swell up. You get that feel, and it feels really good, and everything feels really good. I've always been about feel, and when you stop that and you kind of break off from it, that goes away, and then it's almost like you got to start back over, and it might take another couple weeks to get that back, but just try to stay consistent with everything, and just let's try to stay motivated. And I still love what I do, and I feel like I still have some years left in me, and in a way, turning 50 was one of the best things I did last year. But for 26, I plan on bowling all the ladies stops, hopefully, and then hopefully bowl some PBA 50 stops as well.
What's that like for you, bowling on the 50? I mean, it's so cool to see you taking that step that a lot of ladies just don't do, and then being competitive in it has got to be incredible for confidence, incredible just to feel.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, I bowled with a lot of those guys when the tour was off, and I got my 50 card, or I got my PBA card, and when I was probably about, I think, in my 30s, and the guys treat me great, and they're super nice, and it's very relaxed and chill out there too, and just try to go out there and have fun and enjoy it, and it's very laid back, and it's a lot of fun. So I love to bowl again, and I just try to, hopefully I can continue to do it.
Yeah, we hope so too, because we love seeing you out there. One of the things that I've noticed on social media a little more these days is that Shannon O'Keefe is posting a little more. How often do you talk to her? Have you been able to, keep in contact with her, kind of keep up to date on how she's doing? What's that like for you two?
I don't really talk to her that much. I sent her a text for her Hall of Fame. She got inducted into the Hall of Fame this year. And, after the incident 2 years ago, it's heartbreaking. Back in 2005, not many people know that I still kind of go through it a little bit. I had the yips and couldn't go, and I went through a whole summer like that. So as a bowler, you don't know how that happens unless that happens to you. And it's, as a bowler, that's the scariest thing you can go through. One of the scariest things you can go through. And I hope she gets to come back. I really do. I mean, she's had such a great career, and she's a fabulous coach, and her and Brian have done so great with the college and everything. But hopefully, she's able to come back and bowl another tournament.
Yeah, great people too, for
yes.
sure. One of the things that I saw you do right before we came over here was go over to Marc McDowell, ask for a selfie.
Yeah.
Of course, as we're recording this, he's about to be presented with his eagle in
that's
Neillsville,
awesome.
Wisconsin.
That's awesome.
Where they probably haven't seen an eagle trophy, within 100 miles, which is going to be really cool to see. But tell me your thoughts on 62-year-old Marc McDowell taking the singles title at the OCs.
That's amazing. It's amazing. It's great that, he's still... again, it's a number, right? It doesn't matter. So he still has, probably the athleticism of a 32-year-old, and can still do it. It doesn't. I mean, I would never have known he's 62. So it's congratulations to him. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, really cool. Well, best of luck out here.
Thank
Don't want
you.
to take too much more of your time because they're just about ready to go, but
okay.
I really appreciate you coming over for a few.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. It should be a fun night.
Bowling with the Pfeff is brought to you by Chip Magnet. Raise your snack standards.
Jerry's Score More Bowling Supply inside Wagner's Lane. So Eau Claire, Wisconsin area's leader in bowling products and services since 1988. And Visionary Video Hub. Video with impact.
Email bowlingwiththepfeff@yahoo.com with questions or to appear on the show. You can also reach out on your favorite social media platform.